Hey everybody, it's Ed. All right, today's video I want to talk about a show that Elvis performed on September 28th, 1974. 48 years ago on this date, Elvis played Maryland, Cole Fieldhouse. And this concert has been released as a bootleg, and it is called Chaos in College Park. And I believe there's other bootlegs out there also of this show. And this is arguably one of Elvis's worst concerts. That's what the general consensus is, okay? But why? Why is it one of his worst concerts? Was his voice awful? Was he terrible at singing that night? Well, no, it wasn't because of that. Now, I personally was not there because in 1974, I was only 5 years old. So I was not at that show. However, my mother and father were at this show. And what I'm going to do, actually, because unfortunately my father couldn't be here right now to do this video with me, so I am going to call my father, and I'm going to put him on speakerphone, and I'm really hoping that this comes out. And we are going to get his firsthand account of this show, because from what I've been told from my mother and father, this was really the show that made them walk out kind of like holding their heads down and just perplexed, like something is off, but no, couldn't be. No, maybe he's just tired. Maybe it was just, a bad night or whatever. But now at that point, my parents had seen Elvis a multitude of times, either in venues or in Vegas. And all right, you know what? I'm not even going to say anymore. Let me call my father and let's hope that this comes out. Let's hope that this comes out. I'm going to put this near so you guys can hopefully hear him.
Hello?
Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
What am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm driving.
All right. Well, be careful. All right. I got you. I got you on speaker. All right. And I'm actually making a video right now. All right.
Okay.
And you know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about 48 years ago, September 28th. You and Mom went to Maryland. Do you remember this?
Yeah, the Colfax House in Baltimore.
That's right.
Great. Yeah.
Okay.
That's where they got, I want the people to get the best. He was really, I loved him, but he was really bad that night. He was in bad shape.
All right. So from what I remember you telling me, that really I mean, looking back in hindsight now and knowing what we know, at this point in 1974, I just mentioned before I called you that,
Right.
you had already seen Elvis, you and Mom had seen Elvis a multitude of times in venues and in Vegas. And
Right.
this was the show where you basically walked out and you were kind of perplexed, and mom mentioned like you guys kind of like had your heads down and were like,
Yep.
just like confused, like what's going on, but also in doubt, like, oh, there's no way, it must have just been an off night or whatever. But I want you to give your recollection to people.
What I remember is that the newspaper article said that he had a paunch.
Right.
And he told the people, I don't have a paunch. I have a bulletproof vest on.
Right.
Because I don't need some to shoot my belly button off.
Right.
And somebody said something to boot it, and he said, "Don't boo me, son, because I'll kick your asses."
No. When they booed him, when he said, I have to be straight as an arrow. I don't drink alcohol. I don't do no drugs. And then that's when he was like, oh yeah, don't boo me. Right? Okay, but no, you're right. It was that show.
Right. It was that show, and then of course he goes into the speech.
Right.
And he turns around and after he says all this stuff about he's straight as an arrow, and he does karate, and he has a narcotics badge.
Right.
And then he turns around, he says, after he does all that, then he says, I'm as straight as an arrow, and he turns around and says, I have the best musicians, I have the best equipment money can buy, because I want the people to get the best. And I'll never forget that.
Yeah, apparently you got that to a T. Because actually, I was listening to some of this performance today, and I heard that whole thing. And the fact that you remember that so well, it's like that really must have stuck in your mind.
Well, it did, because I'll tell you, Ed. Listen, I've seen him so many times, and he was so good in every way. I mean, he knew how to captivate the audience, and I just felt bad for him that night. I don't know what it was, but I guess in looking at the way the movie was and everything, when you look at Elvis and you see what he was up against, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, listen, as far as I'm concerned, he didn't even have to sing. He just could have sat on a chair and just, you know, did nothing.
Right.
And I tell you, he was good. But that night, it wasn't a good show.
Right. But it wasn't that his singing was bad or anything really like that.
Was great.
Right. It was just
his singing was great. It was just he was slurring his words.
Right.
And he just, you know, he probably had an off night. And of course, the papers, you know, they call him, he's 40 and fat, paunchy, and you know that. Yeah. And that got to him.
Right. But looking back now, like you said, you know, it's like, wow, okay. And then you think of other instances where, you know, where he was kind of slurring in things, like in New Haven in '76, and you know.
Yeah, but not that bad.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
He would forget. He would, you know, mutter words, but you could almost get it. You know,
right? But
and he was. I don't know. Maybe it was the drugs. Who knows?
Well,
you know,
obviously, unfortunately, it was. But you know, look again. We have the hindsight of what we know now. But at that time, you know, you were in the moment, but I just remember you telling me that this particular show was the one where you realized that something was off, but just couldn't put your finger on it at that time. But now, knowing what we know, it's like, oh. Okay, I get it.
Yep.
Right.
Because, you know, when we went to that show and we walked out, and, you know, I just shook my head and I says, God, I hope he's all right.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he was babbling, but, you know, he was babbling like there was no tomorrow. But what really was funny, when he said, "Don't boo me, son, I'll kick your ass," and you know, you could see he meant that.
Right.
I'm an 8th degree black belt. I have a narcotics badge.
Right.
I do karate.
Right.
I mean, he really went into the whole spiel.
Right.
You know, and it was just, you know, one of those things. And I said, "Oh boy."
It's amazing, though, knowing that you and Mom were at that show.
Yeah.
And I'm actually
it was me, Mom. I think Mike Menudo was with us.
Okay. Yes, he was.
Jimmy and Aunt Rita.
Okay. Pat and Jim weren't there?
I think so. I don't remember.
Okay.
But, you know, we had a bunch of us that went to that show.
Right.
We drove there, and we did the show, and then we drove home after the show.
Oh, man.
And I think I might have the paper somewhere. I don't know. But the write-up was...
Not good.
he was paunchy,
Right.
you know, and he didn't like that too much.
No.
But that was a
Well, who
was a
would?
sore spot.
Sure. Yeah, who would like that?
That was a sore spot to him. And then, of course, when he went into the spiel of, I have the best equipment money can buy, I have the best people, because I want the people to get the best.
Yeah.
I mean, he really went into it.
No, I know. Yeah, I heard that.
In fact, they used that segment on Elvis Radio.
Okay.
Yeah, they used that. I want the people to get the best. That's how they did it. You know, that's all you get is that.
Sure.
You don't get anything else.
But you hear that, it must bring you back.
Oh yeah. Because I always say to Mommy, I say, Aunt, this is the show. Like we're driving home or whatever, we hear it.
Right.
You know, this is the show we were at at the Colfax house in Baltimore.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
All right. Well.
So today's oh my God, Ed, I don't know where the time is going.
48 years ago, Dad. 48 years ago. I was 5. You left me home with Grandma.
48, yeah, you would have liked that show. You would have been, oh, Jesus.
Oh, man. All right.
Well, you got to, you know, Ed, let me tell you something. You're 52 years old.
3.
I'm going to be honest. You're 53 years old. You seen Elvis. I took you to, how many shows did we go see? You, me.
Yeah.
We went to Springfield, remember?
Richard. Artie, Uncle Jimmy in the van.
God. In that van. We went up there. So, I mean,
somebody would put my father for child abuse.
Your age and older that never seen Elvis.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I know. Well, a lot of my viewers, they love to hear this stuff. You know, they like to hear the firsthand accounts. So that's why I thought this would be a good idea for a video.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm hoping it comes out.
It was great.
I'm hoping it comes out.
I mean, even Vegas. He was great in Vegas.
Of course.
And the garden was great.
Sure.
I mean, I could tell you stories of Madison Square Garden. You know, it was funny. And I bring this up because I was telling the story the other day. Mike Menudo and I, when we went up to Buffalo in 82, in 72, I meant. We went up to Buffalo to see him at the War Memorial Auditorium up there. He played one show.
Right.
And when I was up there, I asked Colonel Parker, I says, Colonel, are you going to bring Elvis down to Madison Square Garden? And he says, we have nothing planned.
Right.
So I says, oh, okay. So anyway, we go to this show. Great show. Unbelievable. So...
Oh, wait, you're cutting out.
2 weeks.
Okay.
2 weeks we're home. Mike Menudo calls me up. He says, Richie, get the Sunday Times. There's an article in the paper. Centerfold. 3 big pictures of Elvis, and it says, don't miss it. June 9th and 10th.
Right.
Can we wait there for days to get tickets?
And then you're on your way home, and you hear on the radio.
We get home.
Oh, you get home.
And
this is funny.
Aunt Dorothy calls Mommy, and she said, you know, they had a press conference, which we knew nothing about.
Right.
So... if we would have known there was a press conference, I would have tried to get in.
Oh, right.
Then they turned around and they sold the 3 shows out.
Right.
It's Friday night, June 10th.
Saturday.
June 11th, Saturday afternoon, Saturday night.
9th and 10th. Right.
They put the 4th show up Sunday.
Right.
And a matinee. We had to go all the way back to New York to buy those tickets.
So you bought your tickets, got home, Heard
And
they
then
were
we had to
putting
go
on
back
for
and
Sunday,
visit the others.
and then went back to get more for the Sunday show.
Yep.
So there you have it.
Because they screwed us. Because the Colonel, you know,
How
and
snorty.
then I asked Charlie Stone, I said to him, Charlie Stone worked for the Colonel, and he used to get us our tickets through Eddie.
Okay.
So I asked Charlie, I said, how come they decided to do that? The Colonel had an inclination. He wanted to see how the sales would go, and they sold them out the first day. That's why he decided to do the Ford show, the Sunday matinee.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, but that was the end. He never came back to New York other than
The Coliseum. Yeah, but that's all right. That's all right. We had him in Long Island. F the city.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Dad. Well, this was excellent, and I appreciate you doing this. All right, but I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to end the video. All right, but I'll talk to you later, and I love you.
All right, son. Love you.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Ed.
All right, so there you have it. First-hand account from Cole Fieldhouse 48 years ago on this date. Amazing. Good times. All right, so leave me a comment if you would like. I appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other. Take care.